Had for breakfast?
You're always a cop, even when you're off duty. Your training is with you all the time, and your sense of duty. I decided to become a cop when I was about 6 years old. My grandfather was a cop, and so was the uncle who raised me. He was also in World War II, and I grew up hearing wild, funny stories about war and the police force. I thought being in the service and being a cop would be one romantic comedy all the way through. But a cop has to adapt to the situation, and sometimes that means you can be the victim, too. I joined the Jersey City Police Department in 1971, fresh from 2 tours in Vietnam. During the summer of that year, my partner, Tommy Lally, and I were assigned to the Tactical Patrol Force. We got a call that there were 2 burglars in a house on our beat. A radio car was going to the address, and we were to cover a likely avenue of escape.
Okay, let's grab a hold. Why climb the fence and risk wrecking our uniforms? Let them come to us.
We were young and thought we were pretty hot stuff.
Sorry, boys. What are you doing? Take a wild guess.
Up against the wall. Hands behind your head.
Is that true? This is Mullane. We got him?
Just relax and there won't be a problem.
Whoa, what do we got here, huh?
All right, let's go.
When you make a bust like that, you're psyched. We had them processed and booked real quick, and we're back on the streets by 9:30. But even when our shift was over, I was still pumped.
You gotta celebrate, Tommy.
Come on, Larry, you know I got caution on it.
Just gonna have a couple. It's not like you're gonna be hungover.
Tell you what, maybe tomorrow, okay?
Tomorrow we might have something else to celebrate.
Yeah, but I'm tired.
How can you be tired?
Because I'm tired.
Oh, come on, listen. We'll go to the Down Under, right? Great music, no cover charge, no minimum. What do you say?
No.
Does anybody want to go to the village?
No, another time.
I mentioned no cover charge. No minimum.
Another time, all right, buddy?
Sure. Bunch of losers.
I was single at the time, so I went home. But we'd had a power outage. It was August and it was hot, and I discovered my air conditioner wasn't working. So I jumped in my car and I went to New York. I figured I could still have fun even if no one else wanted to. I headed for a bar called Down Under that I like to visit. It was in the East Village and featured some of my favorite folk artists. Although you're not supposed to carry your gun across state line, I took mine with me. I just figured it was dumb to go into New York at night without it. It was around 1:30 in the morning by the time I got there. The place was packed.
Okay, 4 more. You.
Hey, what's the story? Can I get in here or not? You got a very thirsty man over here.
No, back in line, buddy.
I couldn't even get a drink. That's what no cover charge got you in 71. I thought to heck with it, and I walked back to my car.
Yo, excuse me, sir. You got a minute?
Yeah, I got a minute. What do you want?
Yeah, could you tell me how to get to the subway?
Sure, where you going?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, all right. You go up here to 9, it's right on the corner. But it's on the opposite side of the street, on the corner. Okay?
Well, look, man, I ain't got no money. I mean, if you just sort of like help me out just this one time. Yeah, I've heard it all before, man.
I come through the tunnel with a $10 bill, paid my $1 for the toll, and had 9 singles change, which I had stuffed in my shirt pocket.
Just so I can get to where I'm going, I really appreciate it.
All right. I had an easy night.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
While I was giving him the money, I thought for a second, geez, if this guy's going to Jersey City, he doesn't look like a bad mutt. I'll offer him a ride.
Now, I'll take it all, you. What the hell are you doing? What do you think I'm doing, man? Huh? Come on.
It happened so fast, I wasn't that petrified at the time. I really didn't think I was going to be shot. I thought if I think the guy is going to shoot me, I'm going to telegraph it somehow. And as long as he's talking and I'm talking, I don't think he's going to shoot. I felt if I got him on my side, he wouldn't. I really couldn't see it after me giving him a buck and giving him directions and being nice. But I'll tell you, I was glad I didn't offer him that ride.
Please, don't hurt me.
I kept my elbows against my hips and my hands out so he couldn't get my wallet or my gun. Thankfully, my shirt was outside my pants, concealing them.
Give me what? All I got in my wallet is my driver's license and some papers I need. Whenever I come to New York, I carry all my money in my shirt. I'm afraid of being ripped off. You're afraid of being ripped off? Well, give it up, man. Don't take my wallet. Well, what good's my driver's license to you? Mess with me, man.
I had to be the victim. Now was no time to act like a cop. If he got my gun or saw my police ID, he'd shoot me for sure. A lot of things go through your head. I was thinking about this defensive technique they teach you in the academy, where you grab the guy's hand if he's close to you and whisk it around. The hand is quicker than the eyes sort of move. Then I remembered I was supposed to go to a friend's house for a barbecue that weekend. I'm thinking, if he shoots me, I'm gonna miss that barbecue. The things that go through your head.
Really, man, you got it all, I swear. I always carry my money in my shirt. Don't be lying to me. My wife, my family's starving down south. You oppressed them. Oh, man, I had nothing to do with that. I'm a college student. Oh, you're a college student. Yeah. Shut up!
He wasn't hitting me hard,
You'll be back in
but there's nothing like getting slapped in the face to make the blood start to boil.
Don't you call the cops. And don't you be following me, man. Look over there. Look over there. Stay, keep looking there.
The second he was gone, I took out my gun. I figured if he saw me with it, he'd shoot. But it was time to go back to being a cop. In Jersey City, you can fire a gun when your life is in danger or when someone else's life is in danger. But I still had this code. I could never shoot anybody in the back unless I had no choice. Also, I was on shaky ground with the Sullivan Act. That's the law that says you can't carry a concealed weapon unless you're licensed in the state of New York. I wasn't. I was breaching the Sullivan Act from the moment I passed through the Holland Tunnel. But now I had the gun out, and I was a cop again. In the academy, they teach you when you come around a corner to put one hand on the wall and your gun in the other. I didn't know what he was doing, counting the money or putting the gun away. I figured I'd fire a warning shot down low if he turned on me, so I just yelled.
I'm a police officer, ho!
I was uncomfortable firing the gun with my right hand. I thought I'd missed him. I thought, oh no, I hope he's not playing possum.
Don't move!
Was the guy gonna do something? I didn't know.
Let go of the gun!
I'd gotten him with the first shot, but I didn't know that yet. It was the first shot that hit him. The blood trail started exactly where I shot him first. He took a few steps and dropped, and then he went into shock. I knew immediately that I'd hit him in the femoral artery because, believe it or not, I'd read a James Bond book years before, and that's how he killed a guy. I knew he'd be dead in minutes if I didn't stop the bleeding.
Call for help. I'm a cop. Get an ambulance and call the cops.
No, man. Detective, if you want, I can hold your gun for you so you can get some help. Don't worry, I'll keep him covered.
Not in this lifetime, pal. If you want help, you can hold this tourniquet.
We found out later that this guy was my mugger's backup. They'd been seen together earlier. We went looking for him, but we never found him. I was a kid at the time. All I could think of was, this guy has a wife and family. One minute he's slapping me, got a gun in my face, and the next I'm trying to save his life. What a world. The NYPD arrived and cordoned everything off. All the people who witnessed the incident, when they found out I was a cop, they didn't want anything to do with it. They said, hey, you did the right thing, walked away. It was fine with them. They called in emergency services to find the second bullet I fired, but they didn't. It's probably still traveling down 6th Avenue. The New York cops were great. Didn't say I'd done anything wrong. They knew they'd probably have done the same thing in my place.
So I give him the $1, which was stupid because I told him where my money was, right?
Yeah.
He grabs me, asked me for the rest of my money, pulled me into the alley right next door here.
The guy lived, but one leg will always be a little shorter than the other. I talked to my uncle the next evening. He said my grandfather was a cop for almost 40 years and he never took his gun out of his holster. But I'd only been on the job a few months and then not only shot a man, but was the first guy in the history of the Jersey City Department to ever shoot somebody in New York. But my uncle was very supportive. Still, I was the first one in a family full of policemen that ever shot anybody.
On Benedict and the Canyon Rescue.
My father was a Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff, and I grew up being exposed to police work. So it's kind of inbred, I guess. I wasn't sure I'd wanted to do it, but after majoring in psychology at college, I decided I could best use what I'd learned in law enforcement. When most people think of cops, they see us arresting criminals. But the job is really about helping people, even when helping them endangers our own lives.
Okay, now if we could just sign that right on the X. Have a nice day.
I'd been working the Santa Monica Mountain area around Malibu for 4 years. My normal shift was spent answering calls for service in the isolated towns and houses in the hills. I'd been involved in an incident just 3 weeks prior that was a suicide. A woman and her small daughter had gone over the cliff. She wanted to take her life and was going to take the life of her child, too. The daughter managed to get out of the car as it was going over. The woman died at the bottom. It was the end of my shift, and I was thinking about spending Saturday night with my family. I was just driving and wondering what was for dinner. And then I started to notice something about the car ahead of me.
You better slow it down, buddy.
I couldn't tell who or how many people were in the car, but the driver had started at about 30 miles an hour, and the car's speed was getting up to 50 and slowly increasing. I could hear tires screeching. This wasn't safe. It wasn't very safe at all.
What the hell are you trying to do? Slow it down, buddy. You're not gonna make it.
Right at the point where I decided to stop the car, we went into the curve. At first, I thought it was going to hit the side of the cliff because the driver hadn't started to turn at the right time. Then the car just continued to go straight. I said, oh my God, it's driving off the cliff. And there she went. I immediately stopped my patrol car on the shoulder. There was smoke coming out of the engine, and the car was still moving. I tried to assess the situation, to see if there was anybody injured or trying to get out, but I saw no movement. Nobody had seen the accident except me. I looked around thinking, hey, let's go down and help whoever it is. But I was the only one there. To get close to the car, I had to move carefully, to scale down on my hands and knees. I knew that if the car continued to slide, it would go over the edge. The drop was more than 100 feet onto the rocks and the ocean below. When I looked inside, I saw that the woman driver was in full convulsion. She was having an epileptic seizure. I had to make a quick assessment of what I would need, or how I could get this person out of the car. There was still a lot of smoke coming from the engine, and there was gasoline all over the place. I was definitely concerned about an explosion. I decided that I was going to need paramedics and more help. The closest people to me were probably 25 to 30 minutes away, unless I could get a helicopter, and I needed to get her out of the car fast. I knew if I didn't, the car would tip over and she would almost certainly be killed.
This is 101. I've got a car over the cliff, Topanga Canyon, south of the S-curves, north of PCH. I repeat, I have a car over the cliff. I need an ambulance. I need search and rescue teams. I need some help.
10-4-101. Rescue cruise ETA is 20 minutes.
I knew that the driver didn't have 20 minutes. I had to get her myself. When I got back, she was still in full convulsion, shaking immensely. I wasn't sure if she was choking or not. Every time I tried to open the door, the car would start moving. I was afraid that any action I took to save her would send it over the cliff. tried the passenger door, and I thought I could get it open, but it was locked. The car started to slide down on top of me. I thought, this is not going to help either one of us. Because I figured the car was going to go over any second, I just yanked on the driver's side as hard as I could. It opened. The car was still moving and started to slide. I took out my buck knife and cut her restraining belt. My only chance was to drag her out of the car, hopefully before it dragged both of us over the edge. I could feel her spasm. I remember thinking as I carried her, how much can this woman weigh? The rocks were loose, which made it difficult to climb. Finally, I got her to a small ledge. The woman was still in convulsion, but only slightly now. I did what I could for her and walked up to the road. I started waving down cars, but they just went past me. I couldn't believe it. I was in uniform, but I couldn't get anybody to stop.
Pull over! Police emergency! Pull over and stop!
What do you want? I got her at the club and I need to help her. Yeah, sure.
So we both went down, and he helped me get her up to the roadside. I carried her upper body, and he carried her legs, and we got her up to the road. I stopped by the hospital at the end of my shift, but the woman was still unconscious. It wasn't until the next morning that I learned her name was Renee Saudier, and that she was all right. Renee had a history of grand mal seizures. During her recovery, her family and friends called and wrote me, thanking me for what I had done. It was a nice feeling. I didn't think it was a major thing until a couple of days later, when my supervisor told me that she thought it was a major thing. Being recognized for something that I would normally do during the course of my day really leaves a positive impact on you to go out and do a great job. But mostly I was happy to have been able to be there at the right time, in the right place, and really, that's all it was.
Samuel Jackson recovered from his wounds and was found guilty of armed robbery, possession of a weapon, and assault. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison and served 3. Larry Mullane remained with the Jersey City Police Department and is now a homicide detective. He was the real-life model for the recent feature film, Sea of Love. Renee Saudier suffered only minor injuries in the canyon accident. Deputy John Benedict was awarded the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department's Gold Meritorious Medal for bravery and was named Police Officer of the Year for 1990. Benedict was also promoted to detective for this heroic act.
Michael's Harley-Davidson, Santa Rosa.